versus Wolfe.
Koenig versus Wolfe. I'm Doug Wolfe, with General Manager Clay Koenig. And Clay, I hope you had a great holiday weekend over Easter. And what is your editorial today on young man?
It's about youth and violence and who is responsible. You know,
Okay.
it's. I've been speaking with some law enforcement in Central Illinois for the last couple of months, and when I speak with the cops, even they are surprised at the amount of violence from the youth. You know, there's just no accountability. There's just, you know, I'll never forget this. I was told, you know, with the gang activity in this area, they knew when something was going to go down because they felt the pressure. They knew that one leader said something to another or what have you. But now they say they diss each other on Snapchat, and there could be 10 drive-bys with no rhyme or reason.
Right.
You know, so there's nothing. I mean, there's just there's no answers.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, you used some statistics in your editorial from the Department of Justice. I have the same report.
Okay.
Now, you're absolutely right. This youth violence is terrible. Believe it or not, youth violence, okay, since 2020 is there was a low in 2020. The peak was 1994 for youth violence. And since that time, it's down 78%. But the violence right now that we're seeing, and you mentioned it a moment ago, was gangs. These gangs, I don't know how you stop them. And like you said, they can use social media now. They can use cell phones. You know, it's not, you could just see a bunch of guys hanging around in the corner all the time. I think they've got to figure a way to break up these gangs. I don't know how you do it legally, but it's into the schools. In fact, I saw one report that was suggesting that they put police officers not only in the schools, but in the parking lots outside of the schools, because, you know, fights start after school. There's bullying, there's fighting. You have to use television monitors in hallways, stairwells, you know, because your own kid, if he's not in a gang, he could be attacked at any time.
Hey, and you know, some of these gangs are run better than some of these businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys know exactly what's going on. You know, it's just, but what about the point where the kid gets to the gang? Where is dad? Where is dad talking with these kids and saying, hey, maybe we should make better choices?
Yeah, now, the only thing I can say about that is in a world that you and I lived in, maybe. It's definitely a place where I lived, where dad was always around. But if dad hasn't been around all your life, dad's never coming back. Dad's never going to talk to you. Dad's never giving you that hug, you know. It's just not going to ever happen.
20% of the violent offenders have never even lived with their father.
Yeah.
That, I couldn't believe it. I mean...
That's an interesting statistic.
Well, I mean, just all these kids are being produced, and these fathers are on the run, going here and there, doing their thing. You know, not having any accountability, not having any responsibility in helping raise these children.
And did they come up in the same type of household themselves?
Yeah. I mean, it's like no chance begots no chance.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just don't think there's ever going to be a case where you have the kids, you know, or the fathers just coming back and saying, yeah, I should be in your life. That'd be the rare case, but I don't think that's just going to happen. Now, we have to take a break. We'll talk more about this in a second.
You're watching Koenig versus Wolfe, and today we're talking about youth violence.
So you were saying you were talking to some law enforcement people, and they were just talking about what a problem it is.
Yeah, because, you know, it's the violence gets younger. I mean, we're not talking 18, 19 before
Right.
they go become an adult. We're talking 13, 14. I mean, these kids, they know violence.
Right.
You know, and, you know, I was thinking about my children at that age, and there is no way that they've been exposed to anything like that. Mm-hmm. Not even close.
Right, I
you
wasn't.
know? And it's my job as a father to try and prevent that exposure or lead them down the right, you know, track. But look, when I'm up here and I'm doing my editorials, my opinions, I understand that some people get upset. I'm not trying to get fathers upset, but Jiminy Christmas, if you're having kids, you got to take care of your kids.
Sure.
You know?
And they say a lot of this, I'm referring back to this study, a lot of this, too, these young boys that you were talking about in your editorial being violent, they get in abusive situations with girlfriends, all right? They may batter their girlfriend, beat her up, and all that stuff. And it just carries on through life, because if they're doing it as a teenager, they do it all through stages of their life as far as, you know, violence against an intimate partner.
Now, we have programs here in Central Illinois all over the place for these kids. It's leading the kids to the programs. What do you do?
I don't know. Are they in like, let's say the boys club or something like
Yeah.
that? Are they still going out and committing crimes after they hang out at the boys club, or I don't know. Are they helping? I think you'd almost have to go back and test to see all these different programs if they actually work.
You know, you talked about the top violence being like in 1994 and things have gone down. What I am seeing is the violence may be going down, but the violence is definitely increasing for the younger
Could
part.
be, yeah.
You know, well, they were talking about ages 12 to 16 and how much are they a part of those violent offenses. It's all over the place, and it starts at an early age and it carries through adulthood.
And now they came out with this Safety Act thing. The cops can't hold them. You know, give them a ticket or something to come to court. Big deal. You know, I wonder how many of these people are actually showing up for court.
So now we're starting to make the parents accountable. And, I mean, do you think that when you see this violence around town, do you think that these parents should be held liable for what their kids are doing?
If you're buying guns, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they had this one case, I think it was in Michigan, the kid murdered some people, and the parents just, this past month or so, the mother got sentenced to prison because she bought him a gun. She knew there was a kid had mental problems, knew the kid was trouble. Hey, here's a gun.
Doesn't make any sense.
No.
Doesn't make any sense
But
at
again,
all.
you know, as far as some of this violence goes, you know, where's dad? You know, dad missing is a problem.
Dad missing is a huge problem. It really is. It really is.
Well, I was fortunate. My dad was always, you know, home, except when he was working. He worked 6 days a week. He owned auto body shops, and if he wasn't working, you know, he was with us.
Mine too. I'm very grateful that he's been gone for 30 years, but I'm very thankful.
Yeah.
Very thankful.
We were both fortunate.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Doug. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's a scary situation.
It
It's
is.
a scary topic. You know, I mean, nobody has any answers. We can just go out there and just try our best. Keep trying to lead these people to these different organizations that are out there to help these kids in need.
Sure, and hopefully they make an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it.
Sure. My arm's getting shorter, I think, as I get older.